Hello, hello. Welcome to this episode of the Rogers Radio Podcast. I am your host, Alyssa Rogers, and today you get just me. We have been on the road a lot. I hope you've been enjoying it as much as I have. We have gotten to know some awesome people, and it's so cool to go into their environment and see how they do things. What do you think of the videos? Go Kenny! Kenny is getting it on the camera. He is killing the videos. They look so good. I hope you're enjoying them because we really love doing them. So thank you, Kenny, and thank you to everyone that's been watching them and providing feedback. And I hope you've enjoyed getting to know everyone as much as we have because it's been a really cool experience, and I'm excited to continue going out into the community and showing you more. So this week, it's just me. I'm going to give you the update of kind of what we did in October. I know every month I say I cannot believe that it is November and we're almost at the end of the year. I know I'm getting really excited about the holidays. It's like hit or miss for me. Some years I'm like, oh my gosh, they like creep up on me and I'm not really in the holiday spirit. And then some years I'm super into it. And this year is a super into it. I'm excited about them. I'm excited to be around family and friends and you know, have the holiday traditions and cook lots of good food. So I'm definitely in the holiday spirit around here. Can't believe that Thanksgiving is around the corner. I hope you're planning some amazing things. But in October, it was a huge eye-opener for me. It seemed to fly by. We had lots of events. We had lots of things going on. You had Halloween, and it just seemed like a lot was going on. Joey and I got to go to Phoenix a couple weeks ago and see some amazing speakers at an event, and one of the speakers was John Maxwell. I don't know if you know who John Maxwell is, but he is a huge leadership guru in the world. He has written, I think he's at 91 leadership books at this point, 91 books, and majority of them are bestsellers. I don't know if you've heard of the 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. It's a very well-known book. It's one that we keep around the office a lot. We've gone through it a lot, and it means a lot to us, and to see him speak in person, he was amazing. And so I thought today, I took tons of notes when he was speaking, and I learned a lot. And I wasn't a huge follower of him. Like, of course, I knew John Maxwell, and I've read his books, but I wasn't like, oh my gosh, like a celebrity to me. But he is now. And you know how we always ask the question, if you could have dinner with one living person outside of your family, who would it be? Like, he is my person now. I want more. I want to talk to him more. I want to learn from him more. I want to buy more of his books because he was that inspirational to me when he was speaking. And so I thought, you know what? I'm just going to give you this stuff. You know, why not? If I go to these things and I learn a lot from someone, I feel the need and the obligation to share it with you. And so today I'm going to share with you some of the learnings that I took from him. And you may want a pen and paper for this because it's really, really cool and some really inspiring things. So one of the things that he talked about, or a lot that he talked about, was about failure. And I've always said one of my biggest fears is failure. We don't want to fail, right? But he made it so easy to understand, like, failure is a good thing. Failure is okay as long as we're trying to improve and get better and that we get back up and try again. And it put a lot into perspective for me because I'm sure you, as well as me, go through life and we're like, gosh, I feel like I'm failing. I feel like I'm failing at everything. I feel like I'm failing. And it's like, no, we're not failing. We're getting better every single day. And he talked about how does he figure out what he's failing at? How does he get better at things? How does he get better at his mistakes and his weaknesses? And he does what's called a leadership lunch. And I'm like, this is interesting. And he says once a month, and he's done this for years. He says he's done a ton, hundreds and hundreds of leadership lunches at this point. He picks one person a month. So think about that. Think of one person a month that you would want to have lunch with, and make this a person that you can actually talk to and ask questions to, right? And so we talk about who would you have dinner with, right? So who would you have lunch with once a month? Different person every month, okay? And he asks 7 questions. He asks 7 questions at these leadership lunches. And I'm going to give you these questions that he asks, and I want you to write them down, and I want you to think about them, because I sure have. And I'm like, how can I implement this into my life? Because we could improve so much at so much if we asked these questions. And maybe you want to do it a different way. Maybe you want to schedule 1 meeting a month, or, reach out to someone and have a phone conversation once a month. But this is how John Maxwell does it. He asks these questions. What is the most important lesson you ever learned in life? Wouldn't that be cool to know? Like, wouldn't you love to learn a lesson from someone else so you don't make that same mistake? What is one lesson you have learned in your life? The most important lesson. Number 2, how has failure shaped your life? So we always talk about, okay, I'm scared of failure. I'm scared of failure. Well, we are all failing, right? Like, I fail at something every single day, and I could get better at something every single day. So how do we let that shape us? So how has failure shaped your life? Number 3, what are you passionate about right now? That's pretty good, right? We change our passions all the time. We change what we're working on all the time. So what are you passionate about right now in life? Number 4, what experience have you had that I should have? I was like, oh, he's speaking to me right now, right? What experience have you had that I should have? Why aren't we growing together, right? There may be an experience that someone's been through and they're like, wow, this was an amazing experience. What experience have you had that I should have? Number 5, what are you reading that I should read? Readers, whether it's audiobook or you like an actual book, what are you reading so we can get better together every single day? And it could change your life, right? A book can change your life and change the way you do things. Number 6, who do you know that I should know? If you want to grow and you want to network and grow your business or grow whatever you have going on, wouldn't you love to get to know other people? Who better to ask than someone that you're sitting down having lunch with? They could introduce you to so many people. And we never ask that question. I never asked that question. Who do you know that I should know? Think of how far we could go in life if we collaborated more. Number 7, how can I serve you? Do we ask that enough? Because I don't feel like I ask that enough. What can I do for you? How can I serve you? I think it's an amazing question, and I just really feel like I need to ask that more, right? Because as individuals, we can tend to only think of ourselves, and we can only think about like what we have going on. But if we're surrounded by others all the time, why don't we serve each other? Why don't we help each other? We can grow so much faster. Those are his 7 questions that he asks at these lunches. And it can seem really overwhelming at first, right? Like, oh my gosh, I eat with people, I talk to people, but I don't ask them these questions. We just have a good time. And that's okay too, but man, how much more meaningful of relationships could we have? How much could we learn about ourselves? How much could we grow ourselves by asking good questions? And that was talked about a lot during this conference of, really embracing mistakes, learning from our failures, and collaborating together and coming together to grow together. And I took a lot from that because we're trying to grow every day here at Rogers, and we're trying to grow our team every day at Rogers, but we can only do that by communicating with one another and really figuring out what it is that we need help with. Which leads me into the number 1 thing that I have been talking about here in the last couple weeks. I've been thinking about, think about your weaknesses. We could talk about our strengths. We can talk about our weaknesses, right? And like, I can list probably hundreds of things that I feel like I'm weak at, right? So they challenged us, like, If you were to write down everything that you're weak at, all of your weaknesses, you could write them all down. But then when you ask someone else, if you were to ask someone else, hey, will you help me out? Will you write down what you think my weaknesses are? Isn't it crazy to think that they would be totally different lists? We can start trying to improve on all of our weaknesses that we think we have, but in reality, we're not working on the ones that others see us have. And it's like, wow, what an eye-opener for me, especially when you feel comfortable talking about them, right? Because I need to work on the weaknesses that other people see that I have, because then that'll improve the quality of their work life and how I'm able to lead them. Why are we not asking those questions? I'm like, oh my gosh. And so I've started asking those questions, and it's amazing to see the things that I need to work on. And they talked about, they're like, if you're not asking your team what your weaknesses are, they're talking about it with others. So why don't you just ask them? They know what your weaknesses are. Why don't you ask them so you can improve on them? Because if they're not talking about your weaknesses with you, they're talking about them with everyone else around you. So let's just openly talk about it. Huge eye-opener for me. And then the last thing I'm going to leave you with today to think about, which is, we talk a lot about getting paralyzed, and that's with like all the work that we have, right? Like you can have so much work that builds up, or stress, or things going on in your life where it just like you get frozen and you don't know what to work on. Have you ever been at a point where you're like, I have so much to do that I don't even know what to start on? I don't even know where to start with this. And you're looking at everything and it's like, well, if I do that, that's going to take 3 hours. If I do that, that's going to take an hour, and I only have 20 minutes. Like, what do I do? I've been in that situation a lot, and transparently, I've been there last week. I had a really tough week last week because I was trying to do a lot of things, and I didn't feel like I had enough time to get them all done, and I didn't give all the energy to the certain things that I wanted to. And then I went back to the conversation that was had during John Maxwell's speech, and it was, you don't get frozen in fear when you look at the next step. You get frozen in fear when you look at the top. I'll read it again. You don't get frozen in fear when you look at the next step. You get frozen in fear when you look at the top. So it's very easy for us to look at the top of the mountain, or that huge goal that we're trying to achieve, or we're already looking to this time next year, or right now we're thinking about the holidays and we're like, how am I going to get all this done by the holidays? Or we have end of year goals we're trying to hit, and we get very overwhelmed by it. But if we just look at the next step or the next day that's in front of us, we will get to that top because we're working toward it every single day. But if we're only looking at the top, it's like, gosh, I don't think I have the strength to climb this mountain. But if you did one step a day, you could. And so I'm trying to look at myself and say, okay, I need to just focus on one day at a time. And we were talking to someone else that was in attendance, and they said they had changed their structure and their mindset to say, I just want to win the day. I just tell my team to win the day. Let's not talk about the quarter or the year or the month or the week. We're going to talk about each day, and we're going to try to win each day. And I think that if we all start just thinking in day increments, planning for the future and knowing what we have coming up, but literally wake up every day and try to win the day and take one step at a time, we can achieve greatness and we can make it to the top of that mountain, but we just have to focus on today. And those are my big revelations for the month of October. I just really want to focus on the end of the year and making it day by day and getting through everything and celebrating. I'm excited to continue being on the road, like I said before, and going to some amazing businesses here in the next couple of weeks. and I am excited to share it with you. I am excited that I got to share this with you. And the more I go places and meet people and get inspired, I will be sure to share these with you, because why not? Why not share these experiences and hopefully help you get through each day and take it one step at a time. We're all in this together. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Rogers Radio Podcast. I will talk to you next week. Bye.